Welcome to this week's Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield on the Rural Radio Network. Always great to have this conversation. We've got some good things going on for this cattle market. And it definitely, as we're doing this on a Friday, we're only a little bit away from the close and some positivity that continued to trek through. We're going to talk about the uptick that we saw within this cash market, also some fun buying that's been going on, and all this chitter chatter about hog weights. I want to get Brad's opinion, or hog weights, cattle weights. We can talk hogs too, Brad, I guess. But we're going to find out what this all entails and how much of it's just nervousness or if there's some bigger long-term concerns. We've got a lot to talk about on this week's report. As I mentioned, Brad Kooima, he's with Kooima Kooima Varilek out of Sioux Center, Iowa. So nice to see the serious green on the screen like we've seen. And hopefully this momentum will continue next week when you guys are all at NCBA.
It has been quite a week. Susan, thanks. Good to be on. Yeah, you back it up here till when we were rescheduling this thing because I had a conflict Wednesday. Yesterday, just this morning driving in, I thought, God, we should have done it Thursday with the market sharply higher. That'd have been good, And here we go. We poke another big up day on it here. Yesterday's trade on the big up, we had big volume, which if you're a little more of a technical trader or whatever, that's important. Up in the open interest finally, so you're starting to see some buyers come back to the market, and to maybe hit on that point a little bit because you brought it up in our whatever prelude, is that the right word? No, that only happens at weddings, right? In the build up here to our interview,
right.
We're talking about fun buying. And I think the last 2 days, you, for the first time in a while, finally had some fun buying. Now, you and I have talked about, the lack of fun buying and the frustration with the funds getting out of their length, and they're never going to buy cattle again, and it's never going to be the same. So as soon as you start to hear that, folks, your hair should stand up on the back of your neck, and you should go, wait a minute. When they run, you should walk, and when they walk, you should run. So the funds will come back. They just need a technical signal like we've got. Okay. Market has turned, in my opinion, technically. Some of the months closed about 50% retracement even today going home. So a couple of days of big fun buying certainly was part of it. But, we had a little better news in the cash too, Susan.
Oh, the cash was great. How much of that cash was influenced by the weight loss everybody was talking about just the last 2 weeks? And we got guys that are still digging out from this snowstorm.
Yeah, and still counting, a few dead cattle, but it isn't the deads. Well, the deads are annoying, and we've had them. Everybody's had them, but the weight loss is a big deal. I think one of the triggers was Wednesday when the comprehensive, Tuesday afternoon rather, when the comprehensive weights came out and show which comprehensive weights. There's like multiple different weights. The one that catches all the weights, which would be cash negotiated, grid, formula, forward contracted. Those are the ones that I always, gripe about on anybody's program that'll let me, and especially on yours, that takes us 2 weeks, 13 days to get the data. That's baloney. Comprehensive weights are a week old, and they encompass about 60% of the total cattle that gets sold. So those comprehensive weights dropped 13, carcass weights were down 13 pounds on that Tuesday report. That got it. Few of us a little excited, and then the follow through yesterday with the weights down another chunk on the big one, where it comes to. So I believe it's something. Now there was a worry, and I think I said it last time we had the interview, that I was not sure what the mentality of the producer was going to be. Some of us are so bloody sick of the weather, and these cattle have lost weight, and they're hurt, and they're burnt, and they're like, get them dead. I don't care, and we saw a couple of big days of runs at some of these sale barns up here that sell fat cattle. One day there was 3,500 at one of the sale barns here in my backyard selling fat. So that's a big run, fat cattle. So that maybe that's why. So the guys that wanted to sell them, they bring them to a sale barn, because I can want to sell them all I want, and I'm still going to have a packer make me sit here for 2 or 3 weeks to get them delivered. So the other side won. That fret that we were going to just give up and sell them, don't care what I get for them. That was the side that lost. The side that says, no, I'm going to keep these cattle for a little bit here, and I'm going to see if I can get a little bit of compensatory gain. I'm going to see get a little bloom back on if I can, and get paid a little bit for doing it. And we did. Market went from 73 to 4 to mostly 76, a little bit of 77. 177 picked up even a little bit of trade, light trade, even a tick better than that in the north. So really nice to see. North is back to being a $2 premium or so, or $3 of the south, which it ought to be. And that's also characteristic of a little better kind of market.
Monster trade in this feeder cattle markets. Kind of give your takeaway on what's going on there.
Family version.
Yeah, we better.
Okay. I think that as the trader anticipates this cattle inventory report next Wednesday, I've been looking forward to it for a long time. 2022 record beef cow slaughter, 2023 huge beef cow slaughter, not quite as big as 22, but top 3, okay, of all time. So you have decimated the beef cow herd. Unless these cows that are left all have triplets, there is no way that there isn't less cattle. And so as you look at the placement pattern here that got everybody quite negative, and we had the big break from in September and October, the placements that happened in September and October, now you look at it and go like, okay, now let's think about this. If there's less cows, if we place them then, what does that mean? Does that mean that there's less available to be placed, so that the available supply of feeder cattle outside of feed yards, I think it's going to be a record small number. We'll see. I'm guessing. There is, the smart aleck version of this for me. Okay. I think that there is an element here where you had a $55, $60 break in the feeder cattle. I think that some of that break was caused by panic selling. That was done in response to positions that they may or may have not taken against option trades. And I think, now sometimes the market reacts to who's wrong rather than who's right. So I think there was a bunch of short covering on the feeder cattle here too to start the rally. But yeah, great trade. If you're an old cattle guy, you'd love to have the rallies led by the feeder cattle. That's feeders are the leaders. That's the old saying.
Wonderful. I know we look forward to hearing all the results of next Wednesday's trade. Safe travels down to NCBA.
Yeah, Orlando, doesn't that talk cattle? Whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not fired up about Orlando, but I am looking forward again to seeing some of the people that we've worked with for so many years. Nothing terribly controversial this year, but it's always nice to network with the boys.
All right. That, of course, has been this week's Cattle Call. Real fast, how do we get a hold of you, Brad?
712-722-0023 or hit us up on kkbtrading.com.
All right, that's been this week's Cattle Call. As always, commodity futures and options do involve a substantial risk of loss not suitable to all investors. And that's the Cattle Call on the Rural Radio Network.